Well, thank you, listener, for doing that. Every once in a while, I feel alone. Like, am I the only fight freak in the world? And then someone busts out something like this, like, "Hey, do you know Joe Hipp?" So Joe Hipp was an interesting fighter, guys. Kind of a boxer and a mover. Had kind of a chunky body, right? A belly and skinny arms, and he came around at a time when there hadn't been a white heavyweight champion for a long time. So when Tommy Morrison, who was another great white hope, fought him, they talked about it from that perspective, like, oh, it's who's going to be the next great white heavyweight going on, and Morrison won that fight, and they said, well, Hip is kind of portly was the word the boxing magazine used, and so he didn't fit the bill for the next champion. Now, that says a lot about a bunch of things, and let me talk about them. Number one, I talk about this in my book, like the body idea of a fighter is completely wrong. Like you gotta have washboard abs, you gotta be ripped, but I also understand the marketing side of boxing is, if you look like a model, it's easier to sell you, right? So Tommy Morrison, who looked like this quasi bodybuilder playboy with blonde hair, was what they wanted to promote. Now, what I didn't know when that fight went on was Hip was not simply just this white guy. He was actually a Native American. So when Bruce Seldon won the title from Tony Tucker and that's a whole different segue. I don't want to go too far off, but Don King loved his fighters from Ohio. Ironically, James Buster Douglas, who robbed his meal ticket, was one of those too. But Tony Tucker was just this giant heavyweight from Ohio, and King gave him chance after chance after chance, and they thought he was going to win the title against Seldon, who was the Atlantic City Express, and Seldon beat Tucker by busting up some bones by his eye. And I remember the doctor, I think it was Flip Omansky, got in the ring and said, look, those are bones that could go up into his brain. And Don King said, go to the hospital afterwards. If he's wrong, you'll get another title shot, because he was constantly trying to give that guy title shots. I don't know, almost like Tony Tucker was King's bodyguard when he ran numbers. But, never mind. So then Seldon's first defense was against Joe Hipp, who by this time I realized was Native American, which is really cool. The first Native American to fight for the heavyweight title. Now, he didn't win. Bruce Seldon won. I think he knocked him out in 10 rounds. I can't really remember. And then I was at Tyson Seldon for, I think that was Seldon's next defense, which obviously didn't go so well. But, the question really is, why aren't there more Native American boxers? And, fools try to make it about race. Here's the reality, guys. It becomes a cultural thing. It's why there were no white boxers for so long. It's because combat sports boxing was seen as an inner city sport, so blacks and Latinos naturally gravitated to it. There was no boxing gyms on the res. Otherwise, I guarantee you there would be a whole bunch of Indian boxers like Joe Hipp, from flyweight all the way to heavyweight, contending for world titles. But it comes down to like where the gyms are and what the opportunities are and things like that. But yeah, Joe Hipp, great call, listener. Thanks for bringing that up. Everybody, read my book, Warrior of the Light.